Now you're going to have the video that you watch below about the muckrakers and some of the journalists that brought up a lot of these social problems. What is a muckraker? Let's just talk about it quickly, and then we'll talk about some of the laws. A muckraker, it actually comes from Pilgrim's Progress. It's a book, if you want to know that little bit of trivia. These were the people that raked up the muck. Teddy Roosevelt decided to use it for journalists who always tried to find the worst problems to write about. This became really popular during this time period to find something really bad and then tell everybody how bad it is and try to get it fixed. Actually, to use your newspaper to expose things that were yucky, the muck, and try to get people to fix it. Now, sometimes Teddy Roosevelt was fine with that. Sometimes he wasn't, because they were saying things that he was doing wrong. But muckraker is the one who does that. Watch the video below and you'll get a good idea of some of the muckrakers. But let's talk about some of the laws that happened. Namely, two specific ones. We have the Pure Food and Drug Act. And we also have the Meat Inspection Act. Now these were designed, they're both from 1906. These were both designed, can you see that over there? There's 1906. These were both designed to help protect the people that were buying the food so that you knew what was in your food. At this time there were not a lot of regulations and people creating food could kind of do whatever they want. One of the more common ones that people talk about is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, who was around at this time, before then, they were still putting cocaine into their drink, and hence the name Coke. They were still putting cocaine in their drink back then. They decided to change the cocaine to caffeine, but then the government still wanted people to know like how much was in there, how much caffeine is in that drink. Is this good for you, bad for you? Maybe for those who didn't want to drink caffeine, they wanted people to know what was in their product. So we have the Pure Food and Drug Act, which created the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. The FDA's job is to regulate the sale of food and drugs. So now, if you go to the grocery store, if you go now and you start buying food, all of them have very similar labels that tell you what's in it, the ingredients, that tell you the nutritional content, how many calories, how many vitamins, all that is on there, and that's because of the FDA. The FDA determines how food can be packaged, how it can be labeled. Hopefully you can read that. Mine gets a little bit gobbledygooked over there. That says packaged and labeled. That's what the FDA does, and it's good because now we know what's in our food. I think this is one of those cases where we're kind of glad government stepped in to make sure that we know what's in our food. Now, there's still some people who say the Food and Drug Administration controls too much, that they stop things that are actually helpful, that they will not let certain things be sold a certain way. They control a little bit too much. But the Pure Food and Drug Act created the FDA. It's still around today, still determines how food is packaged, how it's labeled, so that you know what is in your food. The Meat Inspection Act, very similarly, at this point, people could just sell meat, whatever. Now meat has to be inspected for quality, cleanliness, make sure it's the meat that it says it is. Make sure no rats fell in the grinder and you're getting hamburger with a little bit of rat meat in there. Those type of things, really kind of gross stuff, but it's good because the government inspects the meat and makes sure that it is what it says it is and that it's clean and properly taken care of in a proper facility. So these cases probably, I'm guessing most of you would say that that's probably good that government does that. Some of you may say that that's government stepping in too much. You have to decide, is it government job to do this, or can we just take care of it ourselves? Is it okay for people to just say, well, I'm only going to buy from a place that I trust, and if I don't trust the place, I'm not going to buy from it, and then the good places go on and the bad places go out of business? It's up to you. I think it's kind of nice to just know that your food has been inspected well, that you buy at the grocery store and it's good stuff. But there is the danger of government stepping in too much and controlling too much and hurting productivity. I think it is good that they label what's in it. You know that there's cocaine in it, or not anymore. You know there's caffeine. You know the things that are in there. You know what's in the foods that you eat. So those are two progressive laws. This one, particularly the Meat Inspection Act, was come from the muckrakers, Upton Sinclair, who wrote The Jungle, which you'll see about in the movie right underneath. So make sure you watch the movie about the muckrakers. It'll give you a good idea of kind of the attitude of how these journalists, these newspaper writers, would go out and try to find something that was a problem and then write about it and get everybody worked up about it so it would change. This was one of the things that did change because of the muckrakers. Two progressive laws in response to protecting the consumer. Remember, part of the square deal, protect the consumer.